Hello, I'm Kevin Murphy, Speaker of the Nova Scotia House of Assembly. Nova Scotia proudly holds a unique place in Canadian history. Our Legislative Assembly is the oldest in Canada, having first met in 1758. Early meetings of the legislature were held in various locations in Halifax, but by 1819, Province House was built, a magnificent building with classic beauty and elegance. Members of the Legislative Assembly conduct the business of the province here.
In the early years, Nova Scotia had an upper house, a legislative council, similar to the federal Senate. The proceedings were held in the beautiful Red Chamber. The Legislative Council, like many other provincial upper houses, had become an outdated body and was later eliminated. The Red Chamber is now used for various events: the swearing-in of the Lieutenant Governor, a meeting room for committees, news conferences, and ceremonial functions. The Nova Scotia Legislature is made up of 51 members, each representing a constituency or riding. The members are elected by a secret ballot vote. Officially, the term of office is 5 years. The Premier chooses when to call an election within the 5-year limit. Nova Scotia, like other Canadian provinces, operates under the party system. Each political party has a leader. The leader of the party with the largest number of members in the legislature becomes the Premier, who then selects a cabinet from the members of his or her party and forms the government. Officially empowered by the Lieutenant Governor as Ministers of the Crown, they form the Executive Council with the Premier as President. The leader of the party who wins most of the remaining seats becomes leader of the official opposition, with provisions in place for other recognized parties. The real decision-making comes from the Cabinet, also known as the Executive Council. Routine decisions can be made at any time through orders in council, while important policy decisions are proposed, debated, and explained on the floor of the legislature. They can be modified, approved, or rejected by members of the Legislative Assembly. All bills accepted by the legislature are formally approved by the Lieutenant Governor, and their intentions are carried out by the various ministers and departments. It is the Premier and Cabinet who determine government policy and oversee its implementation. The Minister of a department does not require specialized expertise associated with the department. Naturally, he or she must have executive ability, but the day-to-day operations of the department are looked after by a deputy minister or department head. They, along with public servants within the department, report to the minister and provide the expertise to administer government policies. The demand for public services has increased dramatically in recent years. Never before in our history has the task of governing been so complex. Due to the expansion of responsibilities in economic and social affairs, the role of government, its structure, and institutions have changed to meet the challenges of today's society. Within the legislative chamber, the House is divided down the center, with the Speaker's chair at the head of the aisle. The Speaker acts as moderator of the debates and presides over the business of the House, its procedures, and decorum.
And I'm very much looking forward to a productive session of government over the next 3 or 4 years.
The Speaker is elected by the members either by acclamation or by secret ballot. He or she is an elected member of the House, given the duty of impartially presiding over the proceedings. The Speaker is in charge of the House of Assembly, with jurisdiction over what takes place within the parliamentary precinct. He or she also has responsibility for the day-to-day administration of the department known as the Office of the Speaker. The clerk of the House is the most important officer. The clerk, along with the assistant clerk, prepares the orders of the day, the daily agenda, and advises the Speaker and members on matters of procedure. The clerks also do the official counting of votes.
Those in favor of the Amendment 13.
The clerk's desk is adorned by the mace, the venerable symbol of the House's authority. The sergeant-at-arms is warden of the mace and is also responsible for maintaining security and order within Province House. Each session of the legislature begins with a ceremonial opening. The Lieutenant Governor reads the speech from the throne that is prepared by Cabinet. The Lieutenant Governor sets out the government's legislative agenda. He or she does not come back to the House until the bills passed in the session require royal assent or to prorogue the House. The principal order of business after the ceremonial opening of the House is the address in reply to the speech from the throne. This allows MLAs to debate the government's initiatives, speak on behalf of their constituents, or to air any other concerns.
So with that, we'll now begin with the daily routine.
The proceedings of the legislature begin with the daily routine, presenting and reading petitions, presenting reports of committees, tabling reports, regulations, and other papers.
Thank you. I beg leave to table a copy of the Order in Council number 2016-94.
Statements by ministers, government notices of motion, introduction of bills, notices of motion, and statements by members.
We'll now move on to introduction of bills. The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal.
The introduction of bills is the first step in lawmaking. The title of the bill is read and then registered with the clerk of the House. The bill is then printed and distributed to the members. This is the first reading of the bill. Second reading is when full debate on the principle of the bill occurs. The member who introduces a bill must outline and explain its purpose. The government House leader determines when a bill is called for second reading. When a bill has passed second reading, it is then referred to the Committee on Law Amendments or the Committee on Private and Local Bills for further modification, recommendations, and amendments. The bills that pass through the committee system are referred to the Committee of the Whole House on Bills by the Speaker. This committee is held in the Legislative Chamber. Third reading of a bill occurs when it has passed the Committee of the Whole House on Bills, and at this point, there is seldom any prolonged debate. Royal assent is the final process by which bills become acts and are entered in the Nova Scotia statute books.
In Her Majesty's name, I assent to these bills.
The acts may come into effect immediately, at a specified date, or may be proclaimed by the Lieutenant Governor in Council at a future date. The committee system is an important function of lawmaking, as much of the work takes place in committee. There are a variety of committees, such as standing committees, select committees, and committees of the whole House. The standing and select committees are comprised of members from all parties, generally consisting of 9 members. Committees have the right to call witnesses and hold public meetings. This is often done with important bills or controversial topics. One of the most important functions of government is to bring in a budget, which will determine how tax dollars are spent. This task is left to the Minister of Finance, who delivers a lengthy budget speech. The speech outlines fiscal priorities and financial policies, as well as the expenditures for the last fiscal year. Following the budget speech, the opposition is provided with the opportunity to reply. The opposition is given an extended opportunity to question and criticize the government's expenditures during the Committee of the Whole House on Supply, to which departmental estimates are referred. Part of the process of lawmaking is the preparation needed before the formal debating takes place in the Assembly. The political parties generally hold a daily caucus where they discuss policies and party positions and plan strategies before they debate the issues on the floor of the House. Question period takes place on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. It is when opposition members can question cabinet ministers on government policy. Wednesdays are opposition days. This gives the opposition parties a chance to choose the issues they wish to debate. All debates are digitally recorded and transferred to Hansard for transcription as the official daily record of the House of Assembly. In 1991, Nova Scotia began televising the proceedings, and the audio and video is made available to members and the media for broadcast use. The Legislative Library also performs an important service. Its mandate is to provide the information, reference, and research necessary to meet the needs of the Legislative Assembly. The library has a vast collection of legislative documents from 1758 to the present day, as well as many books on political science, economics, and the history of Nova Scotia. Although MLAs try and often succeed in influencing policy and are involved in the lawmaking process, their main role is to serve you, the constituents. If they fail in that duty, they can be voted out of office. Much has changed since the early days of representative government. Along with the new freedoms and human rights, the role of government has expanded to meet the ever-changing economic and social demands of today's culture. The early leaders who were responsible for bringing in democratic freedom laid the foundation for one of the best political systems in the world.